everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Today Eric and I are going to tell you how we felt about the pilot, the first episode of The Mandalorian.
Chapter 1.
Disney Plus just happened, just started. It's hearing nothing but like buzz about the streaming service and constant ads in everything. Like I can't watch anything without an ad for Disney Plus.
I'm getting to reap all the benefits without having to pay Disney anything. I'm living the dream.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we went ahead and watched it. The first thing I want to say is it's a 40-minute pilot. I don't even know if pilot's the right word, because I doubt this was a thing where Favreau had to make his episode and then give it to Disney and see if it got made. I'm pretty sure this is a thing they commissioned to get made.
Yeah, it's a first episode.
So yeah, we often use that as just synonymous with first episode, but it's not really a pilot probably. But anyway, I'm gonna open straight away, even before we talk very much about this, with a complaint, which is give me the first 2 episods, or make a 2-hour pilot.
Yeah. I agree with that.
I don't think there's enough here to even hardly discuss. I mean, we'll talk about. We'll tell you how we felt about it.
I don't have a lot to say.
I don't either. I was a little bit bummed out that we didn't get to see more of it. I'm not complaining necessarily that it didn't all drop at once. No. Although this does look like a thing that will be pretty bingey. Although it could, you know what, I say that, we've only got 1 episode, it also could sort of feel like a movie every week, right?
But this didn't feel like a movie.
Well, it feels like, it didn't, right? Like, it didn't feel like a standalone piece. There's not a story beginning, middle to end, but the way it's paced.
Well, that's, I think...
Maybe that's part of why they only gave us 40 minutes, is that it feels like an hour and a half.
I think it's at odds with itself. It wants to be a spaghetti western, and it's doing spaghetti western pacing.
Yeah.
But when you're doing that episode by episode, not a lot's actually happening.
So maybe it won't be that binge-worthy, and maybe you'll be glad that you're getting some distance from it every week.
I don't know. Like, I think it could go either way, because like I enjoy spaghetti westerns, and I enjoy like if you break down the plot of For a Few Dollars More, not a lot happens in that movie, but like it slowly unfolds. It's a lot about atmosphere and things like that, and this is doing that too. But I think.
But you've never seen a TV show.
I think it could be at the detriment
right?
to the episodes.
Yeah.
Where like when you're doing this pace, not as much is happening per episode,
sure.
and then it feels, and that could feel like decompressed storytelling.
And so that's why you're kind of back and forth.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not
should
sure.
it all have dropped at once or not?
Yeah. I don't think it's a particularly satisfying first episode. I don't think it's a bad first episode.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give me a good enough sense of where we're going and what it is. Other than I guess that it's spaghetti western space.
Yeah. So and it's got kind of that like samurai thing.
It does not feel like Netflix shows that feel like they're stretching. It's a different.
You're talking about the later seasons of some of the Marvel shows.
Yeah, or most Netflix shows at this point.
Just in general.
But like the Iron Fist thing, where it's like, oh, you learned that dramatic television is slow. No, this doesn't feel like that.
It's weird. The pacing
it feels more deliberate and intentional.
Yeah, it's deliberate. It's deliberate. It's appropriate for the material. It's right for what we're looking at. But it also feels like this material was chosen so that it could feel like a movie every week, but get away with stretching a movie for a whole season. So in that way, it does feel stretched, but not in like I'm looking at my watch going like, okay, you guys should have gotten this over with 20 minutes ago. It's not like that.
We're not stretching scenes out. It's atmosphere before it's pacing.
You even said when we were watching it, doesn't this feel like it ought to be a movie? Doesn't it feel like I should have gone to the movie theater and seen this? Which to me is something of a compliment to it.
Well,
because
but I mean that in like the way it's paced, I feel like something paced like this I should get all at once.
Yeah.
Like if this is a movie pace like this is the movie James Mangold made. If this was the Boba Fett movie James Mangold was going to make, the pacing wouldn't feel enough because you get the whole thing. It feels weird to do pacing like this, but also do it in chunks. It
also feels like Mangold could have made this.
It does.
It's really interesting that like the Boba Fett movie doesn't happen, but then we get this, and it feels like what that might have been. Because here's the thing: I want to call this like not Boba Fett the series. Because, like, that's what it is, right? Like, we did The Mandalorian because people always wanted a Boba Fett thing, and there's a bunch of fans of Boba Fett, and just the look of it, if nothing else. I realize that Boba Fett fans have, like, actual reasons for liking Boba Fett, but, like...
Well, I think most people start with, he looks cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's all we had to go on in those original movies.
And so this is you capitalizing on the look of that. So it's like, what can we take that is recognizable aesthetically, but that we can make something new out of, and not just necessarily spin our wheels. And I will say, this doesn't immediately feel like it's just repeating stuff constantly.
No,
like people complain about with Force Awakens.
But we don't yet know why this needs to not be Boba Fett. Because the rumor is it's not Boba Fett because...
I'm going to argue we do.
Because Solo.
I'm going to argue we do know why it's not Boba Fett.
Is it so he can have the backstory with the Foundling thing?
It's so that he can be morally ambiguous instead of just bad. Because... Like I don't think... Now, I don't know a lot about Boba Fett
Boba Fett wouldn't... Well, there's no spoilers. Boba Fett wouldn't have done what he did at the end of this episode. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
fair.
And
so they're wanting to make him struggle with the hero thing. Mm-hmm. And I think we're trying to do a paralleling Jedi thing with light side, dark side with him. So it's not a Jedi thing. It's a bounty hunter story, but it's about a guy who is trying to make the choice of what side he's going to land on, because in order to do his job, he has to do unconscionable things, but there is a heart in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right away, I'll say this is a thing that we watched with my son Jason, and you can show your kids this. I think.
Yeah.
Like, past 7 or 8, I'd say.
I think if you go watch Star Wars, you can watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched Star Wars at 3. Like, I probably could watch this at 3.
And it doesn't do anything any more violent than the original trilogy does, and it felt really authentic in that way to me. I know you said you thought it looked a little bit too polished, but
there is something off about how it looks, but I can't put my finger on it.
You know what,
and it might just be modern filmmaking, I don't know.
That's what I think it is, because I think Rogue One has exactly the same thing.
That's fair, but I didn't feel as much there. I don't know. There's something off.
Did you
where I'm like, this almost like it's like Star Wars adjacent. I can't put my finger on it.
Did you get Rogue One vibes as much as I did?
I got a little bit.
To me.
I did get that a little bit.
With the exception of the freaking brilliant soundtrack. This just has a lovely, lovely score. And I like that it doesn't sound like Star Wars. There's this awesome juxtaposition. It doesn't sound like it shouldn't be Star Wars, but I mean, it's not John Williams-y. It's a different thing.
Yes.
It's doing the Rogue Samurai thing. It's doing the spaghetti western thing, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And there's this wonderful juxtaposition. It looks like Empire. Or it looks like Empire, but it doesn't sound like Empire, and I think that gives this cool POV thing, because it's also far from his perspective. Do we ever cut away from him? We haven't had any like bad guys talking about in the back room or anything.
But that's also pretty common to a lot of spaghetti westerns, at least like Clint Eastwood ones. If he's
I loved that about this. Yeah. So far, we just follow him the whole time. I hope he never takes his helmet off.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if we saw that in the trailer.
I can't remember. I think we did. I hope that doesn't happen. Or if we do, I hope we don't see it. I hope he takes it off and then we cut. We don't get to see it. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Best thing, worst thing.
I have to immediately. I should have had this. I don't have like. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, sure.
I don't immediately have something where I'm like, this is great, but I also don't immediately have something where I'm like, this is awful.
I know while we were watching it, you had reservations about familiar things.
Okay, that's right. My worst thing is the carbonite. That is standard Disney taking something that's Star Wars iconography, but doesn't actually make sense in universe. In Empire Strikes Back, we do not traditionally transport people through carbonite. They hope it will work because they need it in a situation. They're on a mining colony that has carbonite freezing. He just has a bunch of people, like that's just a standard bounty hunter thing. It's not. Maybe it's changed since then, but at the same time, like that's just an excuse to have iconography that you're familiar with.
I think the parsec thing is also sort of like that.
Do they mention parsecs?
Oh yeah. He says, and this was in the trailer too. And I kind of raised an eyebrow at it. Where there's that guy that says, I can't remember what exactly the line is, but it's something in the parsec, meaning the area we're in. So like this show is definitively coming down on a parsec is a unit of space
in Star Wars.
In Star Wars, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this should get to do that, but whatever. It's not a big deal. That sounds so fanboyish for a person that's not even a big Star Wars fan to bring up, but...
So, yeah, there was a couple other little things, but that was the big thing where I was like, Oh,
don't you think
just
the
want to
verdict
be
is still
Star
out
Wars.
on that though? That it being we talked about this, but while we were watching it, being set when it is, that this is post Han Solo being put in carbonite, this could now be a thing we do. Since it's been proven that you can get there, like, he was in carbonite a good long time, like, he's a real good test case, right?
It could be, but at the same time, even if there's an explanation, it's just an excuse to have that iconography, right?
But then at the same time, it was also really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also willing to bet that
I don't
if
know
anyone...
to draw the line on that sometimes, but I also need more of it before I feel like I can come down on it.
I'm also willing to bet that if
One way or
anyone
another.
unthaws, they will not have as hard a time as Han Solo did. Like, they won't be blind for a few days and,
That's a good point.
and all of that.
But, well, you say that, but this does feel like more of a world with consequences. Like it does feel like bad things happen to people and things get rough, and I think this show does a really good job of establishing tone and atmosphere immediately. I like that somebody loses their torso in the first minute of the show.
Yeah.
It just comes right out and says, like two things. This will be violent, but we'll do the rough stuff off screen, like Star Wars did. And it also says, again, bad things will happen to people.
Yeah. I don't immediately have a best thing, and that's not me being like super negative. Like, I just don't immediately have something that jumps out at me as like, this is really good. I mean, like, the actor's good.
Do you
the
feel like you
score
watched
is
half
amazing.
an episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I get that there's this kind of compelling cliffhanger if you find it compelling, but it felt like, I don't know, it felt commercial break before it felt.
It's the cliffhanger at the end of the first part of Firefly.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you don't watch just half of that. You watch both. You watch the entire Serenity.
Which is going to be a moot point in a week.
Well, yeah.
Like, you know, in a week, everybody will have both, and then
Yeah.
if you come back and watch this video, well, it's there now. It's streaming. Go watch it. But the thing is, if anybody, I don't know if this will happen, but if anybody sits down and isn't a big Star Wars person, but they paid their, whatever, $7, $8 a month for Disney Plus, and they decide to try this show, they might spend a few months before they go back to it because just not enough happened for them, and they're like, I just can't get invested in this yet. But that's the weird thing about streaming services, right? It's like if you're paying for it anyway, it's gonna be there, and you can go back to it eventually. It's not the same thing as I saw a pilot of a TV show. It wasn't worth my time to go back and watch it when it's on, or to TiVo it or whatever.
I can also see a lot of
we can be a
people-
lot lazier now and eventually come back to a thing.
I could also see a lot of people that aren't like raving fanboys, because I think I've already started seeing like everyone declaring this like the best thing Star Wars ever.
Oh, really?
I think so, but I could see a lot of people being like, "Oh, if it's gonna be paced like this, I'll just wait till the whole season's over and just watch all of it."
Yeah.
I could see a lot of people doing that.
I won't, because so far this looks like a thing that I'm going to want some breathing room with. It's slow-paced in a good way, but it's like that Blade Runner 2049 thing. If I watch this too late at night, I'm liable to fall asleep. Not because it's boring, but just because it's slow-paced.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't immediately come up like other than the score, which was obviously like wonderful.
Yeah. That's gonna sell vinyl records, man. I'm telling you, people can buy that score.
Best thing is that there's a cameo that I didn't know was in this episode, and it was great.
He's good.
Yeah, he's great. I hope he's like the guy that he always goes to for bounties. Like, I hope he's a recurring character. Although I don't know how many more bounties. It's a thing that we do with TV shows like this. If it's serialized, where someone has a job. By the end of the first episode, they will not be doing that job anymore because something in the plot, like, that's a spy show, but because of the plot of the first episode, it's really a show where they're on the run from the government. It's like, oh, so it's not really a spy show. It's like, he's not, chances are, unless this is...
That's true, we don't even know what the premise of the show is, necessarily.
I'm imagining like a lone wolf and cub kind of a thing, but I'm not positive. But
Good call.
we also don't know if this show... Like, the plot point that's at the end of this first episode could be resolved in 2 episodes, and, like, then we could go off on the... Like, I don't know if this is... I guess they're calling it Chapter 1, so it's going to be like a novel, right? So chances are he will not be a bounty hunter for the rest of this... For the rest of this season. Is it a season or is it a miniseries?
No, it's a season, because Favreau... I saw an interview with him a couple weeks ago where he said that they had already broken all the stories for season 2.
That's
like
great.
It was already.
And Favreau wrote this but did not direct it, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Favreau's not a big writer. Like, he didn't write Iron Man, he didn't write Lion King, he didn't write Jungle Book. He has writing credits before that.
And so far, the script is solid.
Yeah, it's a real solid script.
I like how minimal it is. I like that our protagonist is not super talky, but, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a sense of
I like that there's levity when you need it, but it doesn't feel like a Favreau script, because Favreau's previous scripts are comedies.
Yeah,
it's things like...
Chef. I
think he did write Chef, which is a wonderful film.
Yeah,
that's about Iron Man 2.
I think you're right about that. I think that must be about Iron Man 2.
But he also, I can't remember this. He has a big one back in the 90s that he stars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not Made. Made's the one they made later. I can't remember. It was, it's on the tip of my tongue. You can talk. Oh, man. That's going to bug me.
Well, do you want to flip your sign?
Yeah. It's a light green.
Yeah.
But that's really more because,
like, shades.
It is
different shades of colors.
It is chapter 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's like reading the first chapter of a book, and someone will be like, well, what'd you think of it?
Yeah.
It's like, what? I mean...
Why are you making a video?
It's alright. We'll see where it goes. But yeah. No, I enjoyed it. It's the best thing Disney's produced outside of Rogue One.
That's probably true. I mean, I so far I'm liking it better than Solo. Although, like, I'm getting slight Solo vibes from it also.
Which I still have not watched. It's free on Netflix.
Are you ever going to do it? It will be. Well, it's free probably on this now because I think they got all the Star Wars stuff.
Why? Everyone says it's not. Like, the best I heard was like, it's not that bad. I'm like, well, then why am I going to watch it if it's not that bad?
I know some people who just absolutely love it.
Okay, I have not met anyone that loves it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm not going to review that again. Eric, I have 2 best things.
Okay. I assume this is the score.
Okay, 3, I guess. I wasn't going to go
It's like the Joker, you don't put him on your list of favorite Batman villains?
Yeah, it's a remarkable score. I'm gonna want to keep coming back every week just to hear that theme. It's so good. But anyway, no, my 2 things are production value. Production value and atmosphere is one thing. This is wonderfully atmospheric. I feel like the thing that they were focusing on most with getting this pilot out or this first episode out was make people feel like they're in a movie theater. Make people feel like they're watching Star Wars, not this smaller, more talky thing that's that's in the Star Wars universe, but it doesn't like they want to give you an authentic Star Wars experience while still doing like a serialized television show. So it's gonna be again slower paced and a lengthy ongoing narrative, but it's got enough action, it's got enough...
And hopefully stays smaller in scope.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that the scope is small, but what's in front of the lens feels epic. It feels like an epic Star Wars thing.
This doesn't need to do the Rogue One thing, which I like Rogue One, but that third act goes a little overboard. Where like it's like
it does, absolutely.
Where it's just like and then there's an entire war on a planet and they're nuking it from orbit. This doesn't need to go to that place. It can stay as I never need a Death Star or a Death Star adjacent or like it can like dogfights are fine, but like I never need an armada.
Yeah, and I also don't need the Mandalorian, and I like that we don't know his name. I also don't need the Mandalorian to uncover some kind of like massive conspiracy that changes the face of the Star Wars universe. It's difficult not to go there with a thing like this.
Well, and the end of this episode hints that it could.
You gotta fill time, and it's gotta feel important enough, and like I get all of that. But I'm gonna be content if it simply like establishes and elaborates on some things that we already know about from after this. So this is just post the Empire falling. It would be really nice for this to bridge the gap and give us, and I realize novels and stuff do this, but it would be really nice if it bridged the gap and gave us a sense of how the First Order starts, and to just give us a sense of the climate of the society between those two things. So, like, there's a lot of talk in this about order versus chaos, and how, okay, yeah, the Empire was bad, but now everybody throws their hands up in the air and like, what do we do with ourselves? And it feels almost like more hopeless and darker than it did even before the Empire fell, because we're in this transition period of what do I do? Yeah, and I love that. That's just wonderful. And I just want to live in that world for a while.
The first Timothy Zahn novel kind of talks about that, specifically for like people in Han Solo's world.
Yes.
With like the smugglers and stuff, where it's like,
you're right.
Everything's way worse for us now because like we don't even know who we're running from.
Yeah, you're getting a sense of perspective, right? Like people in different parts of society aren't going to have that as much. Where there's, depending on what planet you're on, you're going to be isolated from it. You're not even necessarily going to notice. But my other best thing is I like that I don't have any sense. This is going to sound like a weird thing to say for best thing. I have no sense of who the supporting cast is for this. It's not. It doesn't feel like a pilot. It's not just like establish a bunch of characters, not tell a story. Like it's called Chapter 1. It does feel like the first chapter of a novel. I like that about it. I just wish I had more up front.
I'm hoping it doesn't have a supporting cast. I'm hoping it just goes from place to place. And, like there's interesting people each episode.
Yeah,
because like
that would be great. And like a recurring
Westerns
characters
don't tend to have supporting cast. Like maybe there's a sidekick character.
Freaking Apollo Creed is in this.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
And that's when did you mention that?
My best thing was there's a cameo from from an actor. Spoilers, man.
Okay.
I was being vague.
Okay, but there are a couple of cameos that you were excited about, and I thought you were talking about a different cameo.
No.
When you said that.
No, that's specifically the one where I was like, oh man, it's him.
Yeah, okay, I'm spoiling that. Whatever. I'm sorry. But the reason I mentioned Carl Weathers is to say that I'm hoping that characters like that will be not in every episode, but recurring characters.
What I was saying was I hope he's the one he gets his bounties from. And then that whole spiral, I'm like, maybe he won't even get bounties because now he's got
this whole time I thought you were talking about a different character.
No.
So I thought you were talking about the comedian that you liked that was in this episode.
Oh, Brian Posehn?
Yeah.
No, he was.
I thought you were just excited about that. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, we've given away some of the actors in this anyway. Worst thing. I guess is just that I don't have a great sense of what I'm getting myself into yet. That's all. And that's all about time, right? Like if I have to pick something, worst thing just for like how how the actual story's told or whatever. I don't have anything yet. There's just not enough here to say that yet.
Bad first chapter. It's just not a great first episode.
I guess I could say that it's possible that having a character who has his helmet on the whole time and is speaking through a speaker thing, he might not carry his show. That is maybe a thing to be concerned about.
But I haven't had that yet.
I didn't have that. So I'm not worried about it yet.
But that would also be something that like would be a question with a Boba Fett show, with a Boba Fett movie or show.
Oh no, absolutely.
And it's the reason the Halo movie hasn't been made for so long was they're like, well, how do we have a main character that doesn't emote?
Yeah. And I know that was a fear with Judge Dredd, which is why the first Judge Dredd movie he takes off his helmet.
He's got a mouth.
But he's got a mouth to work with. Yeah, you can see a performance. In this, it doesn't matter who is playing that character. And they
could do him like Darth Vader, where they physically have someone performing him and someone else voicing him.
Yeah, and like you can talk about the way he moves in the suit and all of that. I realize that not everybody could be the Wookiee. What is wrong with me? I'm not saying everybody could be Chewbacca. Like I get that he developed a walk for that and all of that, and so I'm sure that I'm not noticing it, but there's that with this too. But
well, and he knows how to act in the suit, which is not a skill that everyone has. Because you have to overact in.
He's got a sense of gravitas. Certainly.
Yeah.
But I love what it looks like. I love the atmosphere.
I like his sense of the sense I get from him is. I describe it as like John McClane-y, where like, it's even John McClane because he's not thrust in the situation, he chooses to be there, but he's kind of done with all this. Like he's kind of just like, yeah, I guess I'm doing this again. All right, well, it's going this way. I guess we'll deal with it. We're like, not passive, but like just kind of like, yeah, I guess this is what's happening.
My green is not as faint as your green. I want to be really excited about this. I just wish I had more of it. But I was pretty captivated by just the overall feel of it. And I think that this could be a really interesting character. And I think that we were given, I will say that we're given enough up front to think, okay, he's not necessarily your average bounty hunter. Like, there might be something here to grab onto.
Your heart also doesn't have, like, a 2-foot glass shard in it when it comes to Star Wars.
No, I get that. Well, I mean, I was really invested after Force Awakens, and my feelings were hurt after Last Jedi, but the thing is, this is at least superficially giving me what I want. It feels like Empire, but also feels like a thing that we've never gotten with Star Wars. Like, it is carving out its own tone, which I think is very difficult to do.
It is.
And it's making that case that I said when Disney got the license of, okay, if you're going to put a movie out every year, you could sort of do the Marvel thing and do things in the Star Wars universe that are all of kind of different genres, even though you've got that overarching umbrella genre. With Marvel, it's superhero. With this, it's more narrow than that. It is science fantasy. It's always got to be science fantasy. But you can do different things in the pocket where you're not playing with the science, you're not playing with the fantasy. You're going off in your own direction. And this is doing that with the kind of Western thing. And I feel like Favreau with this, and I realize he didn't direct this, but he's the showrunner. Favreau with this feels almost to me like frustrated with the direction that Disney took Star Wars, and like with television, he's being allowed to make what he thought they should be doing, which is different stuff every time.
Star Wars almost is more open than Marvel.
Do you think?
In the kinds of stories you can tell. Not necessarily getting people invested, because it's much harder to sell people on, I think, Star Wars characters than it's Marvel characters. Like, you just say, like, Doctor Strange, it's like, I've not really heard of that, but that's a new character. Star Wars is more difficult to do that with, I think. I think it's more difficult to, like, attract people to those characters that aren't part of, like, the main Star Wars saga. Well,
and especially,
but you could do just a love story movie, right? Like,
that's true.
Like, you could do anything, and it doesn't have to be built around the superhero formula. Like, and there are novels like that. Like, there's a zombie Star Wars novel.
See, you say that, but there's always going to be an expectation of a certain amount of action, and this is fulfilling that.
But if they made good saga movies, then you would be able to do that.
Yeah.
I think if they put out good movies for episodes 7, 8, 9. Those, especially if they were great, which is what they should have been. If you put out great movies, you would have a little bit more leeway. It's like, I know I'm going to get my lightsaber fights, and I know I'm going to get my epic actions. I'm just going to watch this, like, smaller spy movie, or this love story, or...
Well, I loved if we could do that kind of stuff in the Marvel Universe also, where not everything has to be a person that puts on a costume, and then you can have characters
but that's not
set in that universe. Right, but...
I think it's more difficult with movies. I think you can do that in a TV show. You can do an entire TV show. I wouldn't watch it. You could do. I wouldn't immediately be interested, but you could do a TV show that's just about people on the ground, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you're essentially suggesting that with Star Wars also, and you're saying, well, you've got the tentpole movies, and then in between the raindrops, you can do other things. Like, basically, what you're saying is it wouldn't count for people as a Marvel movie if it doesn't have superheroes in it. I would argue that a lot of people, or this would be Disney's thinking, people aren't going to think of it as a Star Wars movie if there's not wars and Jedis and stuff. You see what I'm saying? But you're making the case that you can do stuff in that universe and it's still Star Wars even if it doesn't have those things. And I'm making the case that if you attempted it, maybe you could get away with that in Marvel. Also, Netflix did it, and successfully. And maybe you could have done 2-hour movies like that also, but they're never going to try it. That's the case. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But then you're losing that. Like, no one's going to go to Captain Marvel if it's not a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like what movie do you make? Like Greg, who lives in New York City.
No, and I think that's valid. But I'm saying that I don't think that's any more or less valid than what you're saying about Star Wars.
Sure.
Like, explain to me why that's true with Marvel, but not Star Wars.
Because Marvel's all about the character in the title. Like, you...
So far. They just haven't made one yet that doesn't do that.
Are they going to make it like Rick Jones? Like, no one's going to go see Rick Jones. But they
could have done Damage Control.
But like, Star Wars... Star Wars, saying. Maybe just entirely in the naming conventions. Like, you could do Star Wars, like... You know, Solar Love or something like that, right? Like you can't do that with a Marvel movie. like the closest you could get is like Damage Control or something like that.
Yeah.
Which would not be a superhero movie. But that's the best you can do.
You could do Marvels.
You could do Marvels, but what is Marvels? Like Endgame is Marvels for the for the MCU.
No, it's not, because it's focusing on the superheroes.
You're right. You're right.
Marvels is about a guy on the ground and you do all the epic stuff in the background. You absolutely could do that.
Right. That's true.
We're off on a tangent at this point. But So anyway, so we both flipped green.
Yeah.
If you've not seen this yet, I'm recommending it, and I just need more of it. And after the season's over, I'll try to do a spoiler cast. I imagine I'll watch all of this, unless something just turns me off to it for some reason. But
yeah, I don't know yet.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Like at some point, I will watch this. I just don't know if I care enough to watch week to week.
Yeah.
Well, and if I move out soon, I'm not getting the streaming service if it's not right now. So maybe I might wait for DVD.
You're in kind of a limbo place.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm not really sure what's going on exactly.
And I know I bring this up a lot, but for me, there's also like the kid aspect. Jason seemed real taken with this, and this will be a fun thing for me and him to watch together. Well, anyway, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Leave your comments. Let us know what you thought of the first episode of The Mandalorian. I am not back, for folks that might be wondering, regularly quite yet. I'm still technically on hiatus, but Eric and I watched this. We
didn't even know where to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. We're in the new house now. My studio is not entirely set up yet. We could have shot down there, but the acoustics would be real bad and real echoey. So, not that this is the best, but you know, it's not a echoey chamber like downstairs. So anyway, but I will be back to regular stuff real soon. I'm gonna try to shoot a Captain Logan show next week. Don't know if anything else will come up next week. And then after that, the week after that, I'm gonna try to get back to the regular schedule. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching, Eric. Thanks for watching that with me. It was a lot of fun, and we gotta go to bed. We'll see you again next time. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
Later, folks.